Hey, this is Pat Swap in this week's edition of Beers, Bands, and Balls. I'm here with my host, Jason Morgenthaler. How you doing tonight, Jay?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Phenomenal.
Beautiful day in the Cortez today.
48 degrees, no wind,
Blue skies.
100%.
You ready for what's going to happen tonight on the Hopper?
Oh my gosh. We're going to have such a great episode tonight. We have 4 things to talk about tonight. We have beers, bands, balls, and a top 3.
And we're going to do a little Super Bowl recap.
100%. And halftime recap, ads. It's going to be amazing.
So, what are your thoughts on the game?
Well, my first thought is, does anybody care?
I think 114 million people care.
They put it on, but do you care who wins the game?
I care who wins the game if my team is playing.
So somebody asked me during the game, who do you want to win? And I said to them, I want Eagles 9, Chiefs 8.
And I agree with that because both me and Coach Swap are on a $200 Super Bowl board.
It's the best board in, I'm not going to say America or the United States or North America, but it's a board where you look at that board and you look at numbers, and there are names in that board that are Skagit County legends.
And Ryan Keys puts on the board, and it happens. He sells 100 squares for $200 a square in 72 hours. But guess what? We didn't win this year.
No, but I'm still ahead lifetime.
We are. So ultimately, did you think the Chiefs were going to win or the Eagles?
I am a big believer in best quarterback wins, and I think Patrick Mahomes is the better quarterback.
I just was upset. I love the game, but I'm upset with the penalty at the end. I know some people aren't. It goes both ways, but I don't know. I just don't want that to have them get a first down and they run the clock out and kick a field goal.
I agree. And I think there's a point where there needs to be some sort of an edict from the league that says, don't decide the game.
I think sometimes the NFL and Goodell says, we want this team to win, and you're going to throw a penalty here.
I know it feels like that. I think the first time I thought that was Sonic Suns, maybe 94, Barkley with the Suns, Thunder Dan, Kevin Johnson, Rex Chapman.
I don't know, Mr. Ruck, but Tom Chambers, was he on the 94 team?
With the Suns.
He was.
And a Sonic legend.
And he had one of the best dunks of all time.
He was 23 inches above the rim.
His knee was at his throat.
Absolutely earth-shaking dunk.
It happens that Tom Chambers played for the Utah Jazz, the Storm and Mormons from 93 to 95. He was with the Suns from 88 to 93.
So I think Tom Chambers actually went to the University of Utah. Can you confirm that, Mr. Ruck? So 6'10", 6'11", kind of ahead of his time. Remember the Sonics that were good but not great had Tom Chambers and Xavier McDaniel?
I remember X-Man very well. I went to a game with my dad and went to the game, and after the game, he threw me his wristband. And I told my dad, I said, I will never wash this wristband again. And I kept it in my room for 15 years. I think I might be still here down in the basement.
Do you remember the X-Man choking Wes Matthews?
Yes, I do. X-Man is crazy.
Led the nation in rebounding and scoring with Wichita State. He was a shocker.
Yep. So, what do you think about thoughts on the halftime show, Rihanna?
Is it pronounced Rihanna?
Did I say Rihanna?
I think you did. I think you did.
Rihanna?
Yeah. So I get confused sometimes whether it's the Fleetwood Mac song,
I agree.
but Rihanna, beautiful woman, talented, magnetic. Um, Big question was pregnant.
I cannot deny or confirm that report.
So my thought at the time was there's a lot of platforms levitating. Maybe this is a harness of sorts, but
I like her. I'm ready for something for our age. Let's
Well,
get some Foo Fighters.
I want a toe tapper. I want at halftime, I want a toe tapper. I want something I can tap my toes to. Maybe, I don't know, Creedence Clearwater.
Well, I think most of those people that love them are 60 to 85.
Well, and probably going to watch the Super Bowl anyway.
Yes.
So my daughter is sitting there and Rihanna. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Rihanna?
Rihanna.
No, I think Rihanna is Fleetwood Mac. Rihanna.
Rihanna.
Okay, I have too many things to correct at this point.
Okay.
I believe it's Rhiannon for Fleetwood Mac you're talking about. That's just off the top of my head. As far as Rihanna being pregnant, that has been confirmed by her representative, as confirmed at CNN. Next, Tom Chambers did go to the University of Utah. Finally, did you know there's only been 4 teams since 1990 who have had 3 players average more than 20 points a game? One of those teams was the 1987 Sonics.
Was it Chambers, McDaniel, and Ellis?
You are correct.
Dale Ellis.
Boom on that one.
Dale Ellis could fill it up.
Oh, he was amazing.
He could flat shoot.
I mean, I remember seeing them in the late 80s, early 90s, and it was so fun.
Yeah.
So what do you think about some of the commercials?
Well, the Bush Light was amazing. The Caddyshack commercial was amazing. I loved the one. I don't even know what they were advertising, but Ozzy Osbourne at a computer, saying Oswald is here working or whatever he said. What do you think?
I agree. The Michelob Ultra commercial with Caddyshack. Caddyshack is my number 1 favorite movie of all time. And just seeing Tony Romo be Bill Murray, I actually give him an F because he's not that good. I
Romo?
think I could do it better. Maybe on a different podcast, we can redo Caddyshack commercial. I'm just not a big Romo fan. I mean, do you remember when we were playing the Seahawks versus the Cowboys? Hey, Cowboy fans, Murph, Vernon brothers, love you. When he fumbled the extra point.
They're kicking a field goal to win it from like the 2-yard line. And he fumbles an extra point.
And who tackled him?
Jordan Babineau.
Amazing. Anything else about the Super Bowl, Mr. Swap?
Field was bad.
Turf, awful.
Bad routes.
So imagine if you're kicking the game-winning field goal and they downed it, I believe, in the middle, right on that painted area.
Yes.
What if he slips?
And I felt like if you were in the middle of the field, especially on an area that was painted, High likelihood of slippage.
So do you know I just found out the guy that's done all the Super Bowls for the field retired after this year's game?
George Toma.
Can you tell me a little bit about him?
No, but yes. Legendary field maintenance guy, maybe Kansas City Royals. I might have just made that up.
So on to our next subject, local high school hoops. We're in the districts and the playoffs are going.
Amazing night last night. Probably the greatest night of high school basketball I've ever seen. You know, we were at Mount Vernon High School, and we talked about this on the last podcast. Greatest gym in the state, maybe the nation. And we had 2 basketball games last night that were absolutely amazing. So the first one, 2 storied programs, Linden and Seaholm, and that game came right down to the wire. Linden with an inbounds pass with .8 on the clock, down 2, and they somehow had their best player open for a 3, and he had a good look and missed it, but it's a shot that he will make. You know, if it comes up in the next game, he'll hit it.
He's going to make 4 out of 10.
Yes.
I mean, that game was back and forth. I was amazed that both teams went zone.
Unbelievable. I don't even know if zone is legally allowed in the town of Linden.
I mean, Linden, it's gone. Roper's an amazing coach. He's a legend. I don't know. I think 5 or 6 state titles in the last 16 years.
And maybe a couple more somewhere else.
And
that
I
he was
remember
at.
coaching with the high school team and them going zone against us in 2009. And I looked at Brett and I'm like, what's going on? He's going zone.
Yeah.
So they both went zone. Seaholm has 10 seniors. They're
Seaholm's
well
good.
coached. Brad Jackson.
Seaholm's good.
Brad Jackson's a legend.
Yep.
I just felt, I thought he was going to hit that shot. I mean, the recap of the last minute of that game, when the refs put on 0.9 seconds, and he gets a wide open look. The point guard, he's a JC point guard. He's going to play junior college.
And just gritty. He's their best player, in my opinion.
He's a floor leader. Like Roper
Yes.
looks at him and tells him what play to run, and he brings the team in. He's the leader.
Yes. And gritty. And he'll make that shot the next time they have it.
I can't disagree with that.
It was a great game. And, you know, we got there before the Anacortes game and sat amongst the Linden crowd. And
It was hilarious.
oh my gosh.
They are so spoiled with everything that they do. Winning. I mean,
Yes.
I would take them. I mean, I love winning. They've won. I mean, the last 2 state titles for football, last state title for basketball. And I sat there and listened to these guys behind me just yell at the refs. And then I turned around and he goes, "Are you from Anacortes?" I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "Man, that kid you have is amazing." I go, "Hey, it's not always that easy. You might have to work hard a little bit to win a game." And he's like, it's not like that.
But, you know, that brings us to the second game of the night. Anacortes Lakewood. Anacortes, huge favorites. And Lakewood came out and absolutely brought it.
I think if we had it on DraftKings, we would be 14-point favorites.
Oh, maybe more. And it was, you know, you talk about guys that do a great job. I don't even know Lakewood's coach, what his name is. But that guy had his team ready to go last night.
They were amazing. I think it was number 11.
Red-haired kid with a man bun.
And he flat out got after it on defense. They did a box and one. I mean, he was literally looking at Davis the whole time and did a great job. Like, amazing. He held the Mount Vernon kid. His name's Quinn Swanson. He averages like 29 a game in our league. He held them to 12 in their game, and they had a great game plan.
They did. It was an amazing game, and Lakewood. You know, our kid Davis had the ball knocked away from him with a minute left, minute and a half, and he banked in a 30-footer. And kudos to him, but if that shot doesn't go in, we might not win that game.
Yeah, we were off a little bit offensively. Foul shots weren't going in. But to see that kid pick Davis, but then him get it back. We had a buddy, his name's our good buddy, Ross Metcalf. He's sitting next to our kids and a bunch of sixth graders. He said it was one of the greatest things he's seen to have them go nuts when Davis hits 30-footer, 35-footer.
35-footer.
And he hit it straight on and it banked, bam, boom. And then we're up 4. I think we were up 1.
Yeah.
And that was, the whole crowd went silent.
That was the play of the game. I mean, it was the game right there.
And so we ended up winning by 3 and moving on.
And it was one of those games where we won, but respect for Lakewood.
And I think that's what you need when you're a team that you need to be battle tested.
Yes.
So we're right now currently 20-2, and based on the state RPI, we are 5, and we are going to be playing Seaholm Mariners. And if you've listened to us on the first, just a go-getter podcast, we talked about how much that we really dislike Seaholm. So I think it's going to be interesting.
It will be. And Seaholm is really good. They might win it all.
They have not lost since we beat them up there in overtime.
But I think anybody that has listened knows how we feel about Seaholm.
I don't want to say it.
I'm
getting upset talking about it.
I agree.
Even when we were sitting there last night, Pat,
Yes.
as we're sitting there, they're walking by us
with wine
and they're
and cheese.
puke green and just casually walking by like they're cool.
I'll never forget 1989. We were top 5 in the state, and Seaholm iced the ball against us. This is pre-shot clock. We lost a game to Seaholm 18-14.
I was there. My dad drove up. It was a snowy night. That was a rough road on I-5, by the way.
Correct.
Hey, so what do you think about going to the next one? Here we go, Swappy. Beer of the week. Mr. Swap is going to unveil our beer of the week.
So our beer of the week this week, and we're going to take a trip back in time to the, we hear the term craft brews now, and I want to go back in time to when the phrase in the beer world was microbrews. I don't even know if people say that anymore, but one of the first one that was out there was the Sierra Nevada Brewery out of Chico, California. And one of their first beers was the Pale Ale. Nice green label. Seaholm colors, Jason.
Hate them.
I know. But in the last few years with the IPA coming out, the Sierra Nevada has come out with probably my favorite IPA. The Torpedo.
Oh, man. American IPA. Let's go and let's figure out how this tastes.
You might have just heard that beer pop right there. Mr. Morgenthaler right now is sampling the product. What do you think of that?
I think that the Hop Torpedo cranks aroma and a flavor to full blast, baby. So according to our We used to be on Untapped, Mr. Swap and I, which is a beer app.
It's a beer app.
They give it a 3.7 out of 5 with
That's
over 350,000 reviews.
Well, I think they rate it low.
I agree. But here's the deal. Mr. Swap and I, back in the old days with Untapped, I think we became legendary status.
So, if you're familiar with Untapped, it's an app and you check in beers. So, you might drink a beer and then go on to Untapped, find that beer, check it in, which is you saying that you have drank that beer. And Mr. Morgenthaler and I are legendary.
Status.
Yes, which means we checked in
1,000 different beers. Boom.
pretty impressive. And that was not, in a month's time. That was over the course of several years. But we checked in 1,000 beers, legendary status. One of the things about the Untapped app is you get badges.
Oh yeah, Oh, I remember those badges.
So, you might go to an establishment and say that you are there and you checked in a Hefeweizen, and then you will get a badge. Or you could go to
For being a wussy.
or go or go to Canada and check in a beer, and you might get a badge that says World Traveler.
It's that app was amazing. And I believe that, once we hit legendary status, it was time to walk away. It was a great time.
So I did. I hit 1,000 beers, legendary status, and I walked away.
And once Swap did, I did too. We do have a family friend that he's at 2,400 different beers, and I will not reveal his name, but he lives in Washington.
I'm not even sure who you're talking about. What are his initials?
He married a Starkovich. That won't give it away.
I find it amazing, not only that you've had 1,000 different beers, because I bet in my short lifetime I've only had 100 different beers, but I find it amazing you were able to get on an app and find it so functional. You were considered legendary on something that was a piece of software.
So when you go to a brewery or like a tap house, they have Untapped on there,
Yes.
on the screens and on the windows. Correct?
Correct.
That's the best beer app I think of all time.
I think our wives were really impressed with our badges.
I think they got pissed at us at a while for just always like, why are you on your phone? You know why, honey? We're gonna check in the beer.
On date night, when I immediately sat down and checked in a beer and celebrated my badges,
Yes,
it was not awesome.
it was awesome for us.
Yes, it was.
What percentage of your beers do you think? Because you can put in your location. You could put in a local brewery, bar, wherever you got it. But you can also check in from home. What percentage of these do you think you checked in from home? This is on the spot.
60? What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, 40 to 60. There was a few where you go like when we would go to a brewery we don't know because we always wanted to find the greatest beer that we've never seen. Correct?
Yeah.
And you check it in and you're worried about badges and you're like, "Yeah, let's go." I think those special breweries, you're in a different town, but just
Yeah.
getting those badges, you see it.
It was, and it's they had a tremendous marketing tool, where you feel like you want these badges, and it's stupid, you
I
know.
mean, oh, they're still. I mean, my Oregon buddies, they're still doing it. I
Yeah.
love them, but they're not legendary yet.
No, we're legendary.
Yes, we are. Okay, you ready for the next one?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so we are gonna do one of the best band or genre of the week. We are gonna do the frontmen of grunge. Mr. Swap.
So grunge hit. I was in college, and I will never forget walking down Greek Row at UW, and
What year is that?
1992. So all I could hear was Nirvana. Never mind. And it was omnipresent. I mean, it was everywhere. You would walk by every Greek house and you would hear the same soundtrack.
So you would hear Nirvana, Nevermind, and that
Every-
was it.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I was, in 1992. I was a junior in high school. You're 3 or 4 years older than me.
I'm old.
I mean, you're 50,
One.
51. I'm 47. So 1992 for me, like 91, 92 was a little bit of that. Nevermind. It was the Pearl Jam 10. It was the Soundgarden Bad Motor Finger.
Yes.
Alice in Chains.
Yep.
Like it just hit you all at the same time.
It was amazing. And I remember like a year later going to college in Idaho and having Bad Motorfinger, which was just amazing.
It's Chris Cornell with Bad Motorfinger. Like that was for me the first time. But when I talked to my friends that were a little older and look at like Louder Than Love,
Yep.
like it took me 10 years to get to that. But Bad Motorfinger outshined Slaves and Bulldozers.
Slaves and Bulldozers.
Rusty
was-
Cage, like
yes.
outshined.
Yeah.
Like my youngest son and his best friend Owen Starkovich listen to that on the boat and they love it. Like what his voice is amazing.
I agree. And I think Slaves and Bulldozers was the one for me where I couldn't believe that this guy had a voice that would overpower those guitars.
When you, I mean, we can't do it, but outshined. Like when he goes, oh, I can't do it.
I know you can't do it, but you tried.
I tried.
Yes, you did. It was amazing.
Yeah, there's one more that I love.
Mark
and
Lanigan.
It was Lanigan.
Oh my God.
He like I didn't hear him younger, and
Yes.
now in my 40s, getting to know him through our buddy Bob Vokes.
Bobby V.
He with Screaming Trees.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, he was, I think the deal was, rock went from the hair bands of the 80s where there's guys kind of doing their thing and singing to grunge where I think a lot of people could identify with these guys because they were kind of like us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And these are not obviously classically trained singers, but they're singing passionately about stuff and it's good.
And they showed up in the like if you look 90s early 80s. You look at those books that we read during COVID
Yes.
for
Yeah.
all those bands. I mean, now I love Lanigan so much. I listen to so much Screaming Trees. But if you had to do a number one front man of grunge, who would you do?
There is, and I love Eddie Vedder. I love Kurt Cobain. I love Lanigan. I love Lane Staley. But number one, hands down, Chris Cornell.
Man, just listening to you say Chris Cornell, because I saw him with Soundgarden in '94 in the Kitsap County Fairgrounds, Rock
Oh
Stock.
my God.
But the day before was Tool. And I love Tool so much. But anyway, Soundgarden with him, it was amazing. I still, real quick, before I get my number one, we didn't really talk about Lane Staley. Lane Staley and Alice in Chains is amazing. I
Yeah.
still listen to them right now with my kids.
Well, the harmony between Lane Staley and Jerry Cantrell, the the harmony.
But just like having those alternate bands like Temple of the Dog
Yes.
and Mad Season.
Yeah.
Mad Season, right, to me is I fell in love with them in '95. I showed up to a college in Forest Grove, Oregon, and my coach put us together with three guys from different JCs, and they're like, "You're living together." And we show up, and one guy, his name is Sean. He goes, "Oh, that's my room." He goes, "Do you like Mad Season?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love them."
We are coming back from a bathroom break here on the View from the Rock podcast, where, gonna be honest, bathroom issues affect others more than me.
So we were talking about best frontmen of grunge, and we didn't really talk a little. We talked a little bit about Staley, but we're going to talk a little bit more about Mark Lanigan. So we're going to give it up to the executive producer to talk a little bit about him.
So I don't remember how many years ago this was. Maybe you could-
2018.
2018. So, oh yeah, it would have been before COVID. So we went up there with a couple of buddies of ours, Josh Johnston and Dick Fryer.
Where'd you go?
We went to the Wild Buffalo in Bellingham.
And our executive producer is a Western grad.
I'm a Western grad, so I know the Wild Buffalo quite well. I believe when I went there, acts such as Macklemore used to go to the Wild Buff. But Mark Lanigan was doing a solo show there, and we met Bob Vokes, who's former drummer still a drummer for Gravel. Now it's called
Enduro.
And back in the day, Gravel, when he was a drummer for Gravel, they used to tour with the Screaming Trees. So he knows Mark Lanigan. And so he was backstage getting to hang out with Mark at the time. Rest in peace. I think it was 2022. Mark passed away. So that was actually one of my first experiences with Mark Lanigan. I'd heard the Screaming Trees, hadn't heard his solo stuff too much. But his voice with his solo stuff is like rich, velvety sheets that you wrap yourself with, and you could go to sleep with the smell of nicotine and pipe tobacco in the background. Oh man, it is like unlike anything else.
It was amazing. Like when I saw him and went up there live in Bellingham, his voice it's one of a kind.
Yeah. Yep.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, I think about, real quick, Lane Staley.
Oh.
I mean, I tried to go see him 3 times, and he couldn't handle it. It was supposed to be Alice in Chains, Metallica.
Yep. So, just out of curiosity, Jay, who have you seen of those grunge frontmen we've talked about? Who have you seen live?
I have seen Eddie Vedder, Cornell, and Lanigan. I never, I was at the age where Kurt Cobain, I should have, and I never did.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Staley never showed up to a concert that he was supposed to.
Yeah.
So that's all I got.
And I saw Vedder and Cornell at Lollapalooza 93. And it was amazing. I mean, that was at the peak of, when those grunge acts were coming out. That was at the peak. And it was amazing. Cornell and Vedder were it was at their apex, and it was amazing. And I didn't see Cobain, Lanigan, though I regret it. I mean, I think that would have been the one that maybe was possibly the most accessible.
You would have both of us would have seen Staley.
Yeah.
We were at the same concert. We didn't know that.
100%.
With Metallica. But, when I think about it, when I see Cornell with Audioslave, that's a different level. I've seen him twice, and it was crazy. I mean, we'll touch that on a different time.
Podcast.
But I think it's time for the last part of our podcast.
Hey,
Yep, moving on from grunge.
Jay, you never told us your number one.
Oh, sorry. My number one is Chris Cornell. Even though I love Eddie Vedder, my wife makes fun of me when I cry at concerts.
Yes.
Hey, my friends, don't laugh at me. I do. I mean, I'm passionate about music.
I just remember seeing him at the Kitsap County Fairgrounds in 1993 at Lollapalooza. And he was so young at the time, but absolutely just owned it.
Oh,
It was he was amazing.
It's awesome that I have 7-year-old kids, Rowan and my buddy Owen's kids, want to listen to Outshined.
Yes.
Outshined, when you listen to his voice, that's when it really gets it.
That whole album.
Oh, it's amazing.
Bad Motorfinger.
Okay, here
All
we
right,
go.
Let's go, baby.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Holy smokes.
What are Yeah, we're not
cussing on this podcast
we're not on
anymore.
This podcast. What are we talking about right now, Jay?
We are talking about, well, first of all, it's the top 3.
Yes.
So it's our top 3 most hated rivals of all time.
Oh my
Let's
God.
go.
Let's go, baby. So I'm going to go number 3 for me right now is the San Francisco 49ers.
Holy crap.
You know what? And here's the deal with them. I grew up in Joe Montana, and they were cute. Bill Walsh with the wavy hair. Jerry Rice is running around out there. And I had no idea the level of 49ers nation that is out there. And they can all suck it.
Oh my goodness. I completely agree. Like, I grew up the same thing. We watched in our 80s, like going to a Super Bowl party. We're kids. And there's nothing like it was now. We'd be outside playing football or basketball. We'd come in. There's no Super Bowl boards for money.
No.
It just, cheap little snacks, and then we watched the Niners win. But you know what? Back then, we were in the AFC West, correct?
Correct.
So now, when we get them back in, it's like, oh, they're a big rival.
You know what? And this could be an entire episode.
I agree.
Jim Harbaugh.
Harbaugh. He's went to Michigan. Now he's staying there.
Yes.
He took what, 2 interviews? Maybe 1?
You know, so
I think Carolina
Michigan
maybe
fans,
win 1.
be careful what you wish for with him.
So number 3 is San Francisco for you.
Yes.
Who is number 2?
Houston freaking Astros.
Holy smokes.
Yes. You know, they're banging garbage cans. Altuve maybe has a sensor on his left pectoral.
What happened?
They cheated.
He ran around third. Did they win? And he walked out of and went into the clubhouse.
They win, and he every article of clothing, wires, sensors was absolutely removed from his freaking person.
And you can look. They show replays of him where he has something on his chest bouncing
sensor.
from his shirt.
He had somebody was beeping him in, like, this is off speed, dude. Bam, zap.
I would love to see, I tried to look it up, but I ran out of time today. That year, his batting average, and then the following year. I think it's way lower.
100% agree.
I can look that up.
Okay.
While I'm looking that up, I have a question for Mr. Swap as a
Yes.
baseball guy. The idea of stealing signs is a fairly common idea because when you have someone on second, they can look and see what signs the catcher is putting down. That's an accepted part of baseball, correct?
Correct.
However, this goes beyond the pale because they were using electronic equipment to do that, correct?
Correct.
And
So then-
garbage cans.
Yeah. So then my question is it possible that if they were not accurate enough in doing so, if they're getting the wrong sign, they think a fastball is coming, they feel confident a fastball is coming, and then it's the curve. Is it possible that it could work in the other direction, that it absolutely screws you up sometimes?
So this is a great question. And I think that this touches upon a bigger issue, which is I think one of the reasons the Astros did not get vilified by the league was I think there was a sense that everybody was doing it.
Really?
Yes.
Really doing it to that extent. But they just got caught.
Nobody ever came out really and was pissed at the Astros for doing it.
Except for the media.
Yes. And I think it's because everybody was doing it.
But they just were stupid.
They're banging garbage cans.
You know what? I effing hate Altuve. Was it Carrera?
Korea.
I
hate Altuve too. I
swear to God, he went 50 points lower the next year.
But I think that everybody kind of felt like they're all doing it.
Well, all right. So that's your number 2.
Hate the Astros.
So my number 3 is the Astros. Just like we talked about, all those same things. I mean, I'm just freaking pissed off about Altuve running into the clubhouse after he scores and they win. And all of a sudden, there's something like just bobbling out of his chest. And then he changes his outfit and comes back out.
So if he had a sensor on his pectoral that said a curveball's coming, that is absolutely indefensible. That is absolutely egregious. And he may have, and he probably did.
Yeah. So I don't know what to.
I'll give you a fact check right now in Altuve. So we said that after the cheating was exposed that he got worse. So prior to that, he'd had about a 10 season run of pretty consistently being one of the best second basemen in baseball. So then 2020, he only bats 219, which is 80 points down from the previous year. But I will caveat that year was the COVID season. So he played 48 games of 60 total that were played by baseball that year. So, it could be that was 1/3 of the season and he would have been slumping. And at that point, he may have come out of it. Maybe not a big enough sample size, because after that, he went back up to 278 and last season batted 300.
What do you think, Pat?
I think it's I think they cheated,
I agree.
but I think everybody else in the major leagues did as well.
But I love that everywhere they go, we boo. Or they boo.
Well, I know that you booed last year extensively and then yelled at Safeco that you were a PE teacher.
Yes.
Hey, I don't want to bring this up to extend the podcast any longer, but I think the question that you hit on there, as far as if someone is cheating, but the perception is most people are at the time, does that absolve them? As far as thinking back to the great home run race of our generation between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, which was eventually beaten by Barry Bonds, like kind of accepted that a lot of people were on the juice at the time, like Roger Clemens, allegedly. Therefore, are they, in your opinion, destined for the Hall of Fame, or should they be there when most people, it seems like, were getting big?
It's super interesting because I just read a book about Ken Caminiti.
Astros third baseman?
Yeah. And it was, he won an MVP and he was 100% juicing.
Yep. Yeah. It's hard. If you want to do everyone in the Hall of Fame, do it. But we don't know who juiced and who didn't.
Can't we just put an asterisk there? Acknowledge that they had one of the greatest seasons or careers, and that they may have been doing things they were caught or not caught for, or at least call that like range was part of a range during baseball or that sports era that is in question.
So do you think that, so we do like a 97 to 04
Yes.
asterisk?
I think I've gotten us a little off track, but that sounds pretty good to me.
No,
you
I'm
haven't.
sorry.
It's a great question. So you've got guys like Ken Caminiti, who I think is like as a grinder. The rest of the baseball world respects him.
But he juiced.
I know, but I think
but
everybody
towards
else
the
did
end.
too.
Oh, no, I know. But you think about, okay, let's go. Bonds, Clemens, not Pujols. No.
Canseco?
There are
Canseco. Canseco.
There
Oh,
are
my God.
guys that
The Bash Brothers. Oh, my God.
there are guys that juiced,
That's why they're not in there.
but there are guys that juiced that we're not going to say their names.
I know.
And we all know them and we revere them, and they were Mariners, and I'm not going to say their names.
Second baseman.
Stop.
Oh, sorry. Hey, agree?
And more.
I know. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you really ready?
Yes.
Oh,
For number one.
I am so ready for this. We've been
Yes.
waiting for this for the whole week, baby.
Oh my.
Let's go.
Yes. Let's go.
I have
Number
no idea what's coming
one.
our way.
Number one. Hated rival for both of us. We didn't even get to number one because we knew that number one was the same for both of us. Correct, Jay?
Oh, it's amazing. I can't wait. Oh,
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready for the number one?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, I am.
I'm gonna let it go. Are you
Let
ready?
it go.
Our number one worst rivalry is
The Oregon
Ducks.
effing
Oh my God. Are you
Ducks.
kidding me?
The worst, not only the worst fan base, not only the worst.
Hold on. Give me a second here. We got to
Okay.
give, the Oregon boys, I love them.
No,
I'll tell you a little bit later, but you know what? You guys can suck it. Just listen
yes,
and respect.
100%.
Okay, Swappy, go.
So, you know what? I grew up a Husky fan, and I did.
And we both did.
And the Ducks were cute. They were like Daffy Duck. They had a little Daffy Duck logo.
From 1950 to 1993.
Like from the colonial era to 1994. It was Daffy Duck. They were cute. Green and gold. And everybody's shaking
Cute green.
hands. And they never ever beat the Huskies for 1 billion years. And now they think that everything, the entire history of the Husky Duck rivalry started with Kenny Wheaton.
Kenny Wheaton's going to score.
You know what?
God damn it. Come on, Heward. Run the ball.
Run the ball. You know
Just
what?
like the Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
Exactly right. You know what? You know, we as fans up here, the Seahawks should have given the ball to Marshawn Lynch. The Huskies should have given the ball to Napoleon Kaufman. And the world would be a better place.
So if we, like 1994, Kenny Wheaton.
Kenny Wheaton can suck it.
If you think about it, so Damon Heward is throwing an out route, and Kenny Wheaton takes it and goes the house. That changed the whole entire landscape of Oregon.
It did.
It did, and
they
everyone
were in Daffy Duck uniforms.
and everyone knows. And
Danny
so
O'Neill
from-
was a quarterback.
From there,
Yes.
changed the whole program. And now, we have to listen to all of our friends. I have a lot of friends that
Your
are from
friends.
Oregon. I think, I don't know, Mr. Ruck, 17 out of the last 19, that they've won?
That Oregon has won?
15 to 17, maybe.
No, it's not that much.
That Oregon has won?
Yeah. But you know what? Oregon is our most hated rival. I mean, it should be Wazoo. But Oregon, their fans are awful.
Jay.
I have great friends that are from there.
Jay, interrupt. And of course, girls lost by 2.
Oh my God. So, hey, real quick. So, we just have to do a recap for Anacortes High School girls played at Mount Vernon High School versus Seaholm. So, they just lost by 2. They were up 3 at half. Swappy, anything?
Nope.
Okay. Great season by the high school girls team. I'm very fortunate for both me and Mr. Swap for coaching them at a younger age.
Correct.
So, all right, back to the Oregon Ducks.
So UW has won 3 of the last 18 football games against the team from Eugene,
So we
Oregon.
are 3-15.
That
It's
is
got to be
correct.
more than that.
It's not. But here's the deal. I love my Oregon buddies,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's so fun to do that Oregon. So we have a rivalry game we do every year. We come up to they call it the Cortez, which is the greatest place on earth. So I'm going to do a little shout out real quick to it's called the TCH, the Text Chain Homies. It's a unique group of my buddies that, Pat, you have met.
Yes.
Ruck, you might have met a few of them. But they're so passionate about their team that they like drive up with a flag all the whole way and come in. They stick a flag in my yard without me knowing. It's funny. But Mark, aka Devilman, we got Jay Mandeezy, we got Fitz Bingo, Fitzarelli, Matt, Marty Party, Marty Ice, Stevie Bang Bang, the Maestro, and the Maestro is from Washington. He's a Husky fan.
Yes.
Sean Big Worm, he was born here, but he ended up moving to a little town east of Medford.
Sean did.
Yeah, do you happen to know that town? Phoenix, Oregon, which happened to burn down 4 years ago.
Spelled like Phoenix.
Correct. Correct.
I'll be damned.
Maybe.
I'll check.
We have, Sean Big Worm. We have Murph. Murph lives in Arizona, and back in the day, we used to call him Adonis. So fact check, it is Phoenix, spelled like Phoenix.
I'll be damned.
The Wiz. Have you met the Wiz?
I have met the Wiz.
So he is the greatest backup kicker in the history of Oregon State history.
Kicked for Dennis Erickson.
Yes.
Met the Wiz before the White Buffalo.
And he played for Dennis Erickson. What do you think that was like? Sorry. That was a miss up. So, Mr. Swap,
Yes, sir.
do you think playing for Dennis Erickson with who are the running back? Steven
Jackson.
Who else? TJ Huzmanjada.
Chad Ochocinco.
Yes.
Greatest team in the history of West Coast football,
And Wiz was the backup
in my
kicker.
opinion. And the Wiz was the backup kicker.
We got four more. We got Rocky, nickname MOH. Colin, a.k.a. Coach Kerr. He looks just like Coach Steve Kerr. And Jeff Vernon, the pride of McMinnville, and Jeremy.
You know,
I love those guys.
So I just want to go on the record as saying, you know, if you like the Oregon Ducks, I think there's a greater possibility that you're a bad human being.
I agree, but
No, if you like the Oregon Ducks, you're a bad human, except for John Richards.
they're awful. I mean, I love that there's 4 of them in that crew that are Beavers, 3 Huskies. But you have Colin, Matt, all.
No, they're awful. You cannot be a good human and like the Ducks, except for John Richards.
I will take it back. They're good humans.
No,
They are. Maybe.
Possibly.
Yes, they're good humans.
possibly.
But it's hard.
Yes.
So, real quick, we're going to recap the whole thing. What do you think about what's going to happen for the district championship this week
So
for
I love,
Anacortes versus Seaholm?
I love
7:15
Anacortes.
Saturday.
I love the team we have, but I think Seaholm's the favorite.
I agree 100%. I don't know. I'm worried about just a few people, but Seaholm, did you hear the story? What happened?
No.
Seaholm player before the game went up to Coach Simph and said, "We're going to win the state title."
I just turned. I'm now Anacortes.
And I can't confirm or deny that, but I
No.
heard that.
You know what? We're Anacortes now.
And you know what? Seaholm can suck it. I'm tired of the
100%.
cardigans and the BMWs. Did you see how many BMWs were in the parking lot at Mount Vernon High School?
You know what? They pulled up there at 240. I don't like Seaholm.
I know. Okay. Hey, so guess what?
What?
What do we got next week?
So next week we're gonna go district championship review. We're gonna go MLB
preview.
Yes.
Ooh, spring training.
What's gonna be our music for the next week? Hair bands.
I think greatest top 3 hair bands.
Oh my God.
We also
and
else
top 3 to be determined.
And we also have beer of the week, which I'm gonna reveal, and we'll talk about that next week. What do you think, Mr. Swap?
I think week 2 is great. I think week 3 is going to be better.
Extra producer, Mr. Ruck.
What was that? Sorry.
Mr. Executive producer.
Oh, executive. That's the word you're trying to get at.
Sorry.
Or exitive.
Exitive. Yeah.
I'm excited for next week.
I agree.
As many people on this podcast would say, it's going to be amazing.
I mean, I know that we wake up and piss excellence.
100%.